Welcome to the Living Loud and Proud podcast, brought to you by Disability Pride, Pennsylvania. If you need a link to the transcript for this episode, please visit our accessible website at www.disabilitypridepa.org/podcast. And now, here is your host. Welcome to the Living Loud and Proud podcast. I'm producer Phill Rosen, and on today's episode, our friends House on Edge are discussing their collective. But first, I want to thank our sponsor, Highmark Hole Care, for making this show possible. On August 10th, the first annual Disability Pride Williamsport CIL'ebration is happening from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. at 24 East 3rd Street in Williamsport, Pennsylvania. Join Disability Pride Pennsylvania and our friends at the Roads to Freedom Center for Independent Living at an event for the entire community, complete with live music from Ryan Gilfillian and Friends of Tom Band, food trucks, arts, sensory-friendly spaces, fun activities, and more. We hope to see you there. Moving on to the main episode, House on Edge is an artist collective that features members of various artistic backgrounds. 4 of the members sat down to record the following discussion for this podcast. Take it away, House on Edge.
Hi there, folks. We're the House on Edge Artist Collective. It's an artist collective known as House on Edge. We've been around for years. We are a part of Disability Pride Pennsylvania and kind of aren't. We say we are a part of it because all 4 of us are part of Disability Pride, but our collective itself is kind of separate, if you can try and figure that out. Anyway, so like I said, we're an artist collective. The core 4 are Veronica, Phill Rosen.
Forgetting my name already?
I was about to call you your nickname, JPEG. It was like JPEG was coming in there, which is a name that Ian Fay, is our 4th member, gave you.
You really put on the Radio Ray Ray voice, like, immediately. That was so good. Very nice.
Yeah, Radio Ray Ray. We'll talk about that in a second.
Yeah.
Anyway, so like I said, House on Edge is a collective of, well, I'm going to say 4 very different artists. And our primary thing is artists with or without disabilities that work together in a collaborative way from different arts also. It's not just music. It's not just, textile arts or anything like that. This core 4 is, well, we have Phill, who's an engineer and many other things, as well as musician. Ian, who's a spoken word artist, and we have Veronica, who has basically been a pose coach and model and figure model and everything. And I will probably be saying and everything a lot in this podcast. Anyway, so this is kind of like a second, second generation of what was once known as the art studio at Liberty Resources. And then after that closed up, literally Veronica and I, who were a part of it, still kept on going. And there was a few other people, who were involved too. But then we met Phill Rosen, and then we turned around and not so long after that, met Ian Fay, and I'll let Ian tell you when he introduces himself, the story of when he first came in. And trust me, we will be jumping in while he's trying to tell his story. Yeah. Anyway, well, not just yet. Anyway, so I guess that's kind of like the origin of us. So, and once again, I'm going to leave it with the ambiguous statement of saying that we are a part of Disability Pride, because each one of us individually are a part of Disability Pride, doing a lot of volunteer work for them and everything. And also the collective, even though we do perform for Disability Pride when needed, we still are our own separate thing. But don't get us wrong. Disability Pride is our number one benefactor, though. Anyway, so first let's introduce the individual core four. I guess we'll start off with Phill first.
Okay, sure. I'm Phill. I'm the producer of the Living Loud and Proud podcast, as well as a musician, sound engineer, anything that we really need from me for House on Edge. So that's a little bit of me. Ray?
Ray next?
Yeah.
No, let Ian go.
Ian. Oh, I'm sorry.
Hi, my name's Ian Fay. I'm a spoken word artist, born and raised right here in Philly. I've been doing this for like almost 10 years now. That's insane. I just thought about that.
Tell them how old you are.
I'm 25. So I started off in high school after English teacher bribed me with grades to go to a poetry slam, and I fell in love with it ever since. I've done... I mean, it's true.
Yeah.
Mr. K, if you're hearing this, thank you. So yeah, I've been doing this for 10 years. I started off in my high school's poetry club, then went on to feature in a student org at Temple University while I was an undergrad there called Babel Poetry Collective. I did that for a number of years, and then around my sophomore year, end of junior year, I came in contact with Ray and everyone at Disability Pride and House on Edge by extension, and yeah, we've been doing work ever since.
Can we tell them how
history
you
there.
met? Can we tell them how you met? Can we tell?
Yeah.
Sure. Okay,
all right.
You take this away. So
All right, fine.
You get way
I'll
more
go as
fiery.
is.
So
All right. So anyway, there was another spoken word artist that I had met at one of Artreach's events, named Osi. We love you, Osi.
we love you, OC.
Anyway, so Osi, I was like, oh my God, I've got to have them, work with the project with us and work one of the Disability Pride events. So Osi, jumped on board. It was already then Osi was telling me about their friend Ian, this amazing voice, this amazing spoken word artist. And it's at that time we were still having in-person meetings. So I was like, okay, bring them to the meeting and everything. I'm pretty much sure, if you're vouching for them, that's how good Osi was. They got to be, slightly good. If you're saying they're this great. So we meet Ian, here goes, Richie Cunningham and everything. Anyway, so this guy comes in and my play niece, what's my play niece's name again?
Kayla.
Huh?
Kayla.
No, my other play niece.
Oh, Diamond?
Diamond, yeah.
Yeah.
Diamond was sitting next to me and everything, right? So, what's the guy who, the horn player, music teacher? Anyway, I can't.
I don't remember.
Oh my God. Anyway, so we're at this long table inside the meeting room and everything, and so I'm like, well, let's hear what he's got and everything, and so Ian does a quick piece, and we were blown away, this voice and everything, and my play niece Diamond was like, oh, you better get him, oh my God, I'm so in love, oh my God, you better say yes. So I was like, he's got it, he already had it, but if he didn't, he's definitely got it now. It was so amazing the way he delivered the spoken word. I was like, oh my God.
Yeah.
Anyway, so yeah, that was that, so that's how Ian wound up coming, and it was so crazy because he showed so much dedication that when we started to form the core members, he was there from day one, And speaking of people who've been there from day one, I guess we should introduce Veronica, who has been, working alongside this here collective since, oh my God, our old days and original origins at the art studio that was at Liberty Resources. Veronica?
Hey, my name's Veronica Torrance. I've been a part of this. I've been with the art studio for a very long time. I came there to find something different in my life, and once I got there, I definitely stuck in. I had my own life where nobody can tell me what to do. This is what I want to do. So I began to start taking pictures, helping people model, showing them how to pose. I also started modeling taking pictures, working different projects with people from over in Jersey that came over and seen some of my work. It was like, hey, I want her to do a couple poses with us. I worked with what was her name?
I can't
It was
remember.
from Lee. Lee. I worked with Lee and her husband.
Big fashion project.
I did a big fashion project for Lee and her husband over there on a university city yard. It was a steam home. It was supposed to be
It was steampunk fashion
shoot. We were supposed to end up in a magazine. We don't know what happened. So meanwhile, as I went through the steampunk, everybody was just calling me and asked me, hey, can you help me how to pose and why did you get into this modeling? And I said, because this is my space. This is what I can come to and enjoy what I like to do instead of somebody telling me what to do and how to do it. This is me. So I began holding people, dressing them, telling them what to look, how to pose. I also work with Ray Decker on different various projects.
Now, the thing that I want to point out is, like I said, we're people with and without disabilities. Ian is autistic, and Veronica has cerebral palsy, if you didn't realize.
And you can't tell.
And go ahead, girl. And also, she's well, at the time when you first got involved in everything, you were already in your 30s.
Yes.
Yeah, and as a matter of fact, how old are you now, Veronica?
I'm 46 years old.
And
so I
Ian,
started like 32.
yeah, and Ian, we established that you're 25.
Yeah.
And Phill,
I'm 35.
and I'm 55. We are in each and every decade. We are. It's like we are like. Wait, I never realized it. You said 45,
40. I'm 46.
46. 25, 35,
yeah.
55. Oh my God, we're all in the middle of our respective decades.
Pretty much.
You know, and it's so crazy because you have these four vastly different age ranges, and we get together all the time. We love hanging out. You know, in fact, that's why we do the project, so we can have a reason to hang out and everything. And well, oh yeah, I guess I should introduce myself. I'm just Ray. Okay, so now that we've done that, all right, all jokes aside, I guess you could say that I'm like kind of the core to the core, even though I don't want it that way and everything, because like it's all about each and every individual, you know, whether they're part of the core or even somebody who's close with the core, to be a leader, take the reins, you know, because you don't know what could happen tomorrow, you know, or like right now as we're doing this podcast, I have this raging headache, which with my loud voice is getting worse, you know, and for those of you who've been at certain events, you've seen what happens when I get a head injury and still keep going. Anyway, so my specialty is I do photography, but I'm a musician and an artist first, you know. Actually, I have my hands into like a few other different arts, you know. I had some formal dance training. I've done fashion modeling ever since I was like, you know, elementary age, you know. Yeah, that's basically it, you know. I'm not going to go into too much further because then I'd wind up rambling and just making it all long-winded. So, next topic, let's see. Okay, so we've introduced ourselves as individuals and as the collective. And well, let's talk about what the collective has done, you know, with Disability Pride. First and foremost, you know, forget about everything that we did before, you know, like, you know, filling in, you know, or being on the ticket for different events. I think the most important thing to talk about House on Edges, which we were House of Edge during this time that I'm about ready to bring up, was when COVID hit and Disability Pride came up with the brilliant idea for to still have a celebration, but do it virtually. And we were right there, the four of us. Mm-hmm. We were right there.
Yeah, totally.
You know, first and foremost, Phill and I co-produced about 50, maybe 60% of the different events that were online, that were
yeah, all the performance events for sure.
Yeah.
And there were a couple other extra things that we did, like artist roundtable,
right.
And there was also what was it, the Dark Days, or was that a different year?
That was a different.
That was a different year. Well,
that's the one with Seamus.
That was the one with Seamus and Alex. Yeah,
that was the following year. You know, Ian.
Oh yeah, I had like a couple of my artist friends.
You had a few.
Yeah, it was like 4 of us. I think it was, if I'm remembering, it was like Ari, like my friend Ari,
right?
OC, like we discussed earlier,
right?
And a couple other of my poet friends, Demo and Matt. We all like
Matt. Was amazing. That's the one I'm trying to. Oh my god,
Matthew Fattaroti is an absolute goat. He's great.
Like oh my god, he is again.
Yeah. I showed my age in that sentence. But yeah, we all had a poetry showcase online, and it went super well. Each of them shared a piece, and I shared a couple of my own. And yeah, it was great. Yeah, I had a great experience with it.
And to give you an idea, like what I said about, you know, how like, you know, one of the main artistic goals of House on Edge is for to find ways for to have various different kinds of, you know, art, media work together. There was our segment, which was, you know, several performances, and Ian was a part of it. Veronica was a part of it. Yes. Well, of course, you know, Phill and I were a part of it. Mm-hmm. But like, you know, like with Ian, you know, now spoken word in music has been around, you know, as a combination, has been around, you know, probably since the beginning of spoken word, and I'm pretty sure even the beginning of music. But Ian was never introduced to it because, you know, it has been like the super hit thing like it was in the 60s.
Well, I mean, I knew it was a thing. It's just something that I never really got experience with, because I feel like
Until they met
right? A lot of like, at least like a lot of like poetry spaces I've been in, it's usually like a cappella, like no music, and you're sort of like standing on a stage giving your piece, your story for like 3.5 minutes. Usually, if you're doing slams, if it's open mics, you can go as long as you want, reasonably. But
after that, it's like this guy is always being stuck having his stuff put to music, and we're going to talk about our favorite piece in a second, which is Perfect Pose, guys. We'll talk about that in a second. You know, the video and the track itself. Yes, video. We did video. So you know, so there was Radio Racy. I bought Radio Ray back up. You know, that was me singing a bunch of different songs in a DJ. I was in a DJ type setting, you know, vidcaster setting. But instead of spinning the records, I sang them, you know, and it was awesome because, you know, it was like, you know, done in my own style, you know, singing to tracks that I had, you know, created. Not that karaoke stuff, you know, actual original instrumentals of, you know, some of my favorite songs. And then as a group, you know, we had songs that we did videos of. Actually, oh my God, we've been saying the core 4, but we do kind of have like an official 5th member of the core.
Yeah, you're almost forgetting about Christina.
Yeah, there. Christina, we love you, Christina.
You know, Don't Stand So Close to Me.
Yeah,
she was a huge part of that.
Video, well, explain to you. So we needed a song that was already fully done already, and I had laying around forever a vocal doubling track, you know, an instrumental of my cover of Don't Stand So Close to Me. So the vocal doubling layer of it is able to stand alone as a lead, you know, vocal layer. So we said, let's make a video to this, and Phill and was Christine also part of the plot? and everything.
Yeah, she was. She kind of played the Lolita character.
Yeah, well, explain what the video was, dude, real quick.
Yeah, so so our video was just like Ray kind of, walking around town doing his thing.
I was a teacher or something
like that. Yeah, you were a teacher or something. And Christina just would be like right around the corner and just like
popping up
out of nowhere and being creepy, whatever. She really did well with that.
Yeah, she did well.
It was a little scary how well she did that.
It was a fun video and everybody loved it. Because I shared it on Facebook, and of course it was part of the Disability Pride virtual event. And then there was Perfect Pose, which was also a combination of all of us. Veronica was a big part of it. Christina, again, was also a part of it. And it sort of was like kind of like a sizzle reel, of House on Edge and everything. Ian was the male model featured in it. And also he did spoken word which he wrote exclusively for the track. Yeah, and it was funny because it was just a track I had just recently been fiddling around with. It was going to be laying around, and Phill was like, "Oh, that's a banger," and I was like, "I banged her? What? Huh? Oh no, it's a banger, man. We need to do this." He's like, "Yo," and how did we come up with the idea that it was all about being a flirty seduction type of thing? Whose idea was that?
I think that you kind of went with it and ran, and then you brought it up to Ian.
I will say the piece kind of came from like a couple pieces that I had written before, where it was just like I was kind of playing with the idea of like autistic people not being not being very desirable, and me desperately wanting to bump that trend. Because at the time I was...
Oh, he became very desirable with that track.
Yeah, at the time I was very much feeling myself. And I was like...
Veronica was like,
Actually, when I heard the spoken pose and how he was coming out with it, I said, hey...
Yeah, he came out of character.
Oh, yeah, no.
I said, well, hey, I can actually pose as you've seen it.
Yeah.
I can come that character as you've seen it. So as we did the video, I did the poses too.
Oh, setting for the video was a combination of photo shoots that the five of us did, including Christina, and also my favorite shoot was the one that we did at the Philly Trail. Which one was it?
The Wissahickon,
yeah. We were at Valley on the Green for that one?
Yeah.
Yes.
Forbidden
Project. We were in the water shooting, and
Yeah, that's not a perfect spot sometimes. We just like to go out there and hang out.
That was a good one.
Yeah, and all that was cut into the video. And I was kind of inspired by the video. I do remember input about the video. Like I said, it was kind of like a sizzle reel. But also, I kind of wanted something that reminded me of Herb Alpert's video for his song Rise. Yeah, okay. Anyway, so Biggie used the bass line for anyway, so when I finally seen the video after, I don't know how many decades, because the song came out like in 78 or 80 or something like that. I had never seen a video. Didn't think there was one. And there was. And it was basically just him at a photo shoot, clicking away with his horn and his camera and a bunch of those, disco era type models and everything, which I grew up around. Anyway, look, show my age, Lord. Anyway, so and so we actually came up with, our own little version of it. It's like I said, it's like a cross of inspiration of Herb Alpert's Rise video, a sizzle reel, and just showing who we are. Mm-hmm. But the track, I'm telling you, with his spoken word, the way he did it, and the music, it was a wrap. And then after that, we got a few things, but there was lots of stuff that we were being overwhelmed with.
What about the one we did, the Prince video?
Yeah, we're actually forgetting a couple pieces here, Ray. Remember, there was the Life on Mars cover.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
You know, it was
that was just a me thing.
Yeah, it was just him.
About me.
Yeah.
Anyway, but what was the other thing?
And there was the Prince.
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
Yes.
Veronica was dancing to Prince.
I'm assuming it was
you
Kiss.
were singing.
Kiss.
I'm not forgetting about that.
We did that. We actually did that. This is really proud one year. That's the
right.
We did do that.
Right. He was there.
Well, what else am I forgetting?
We did that.
Well, we did like 5 things for virtual PA for that performance. I can't remember what we did the next year.
What about the performance we did for kicking off the Pride in December? The all white,
that was a long time ago.
And also that was we were at the core, but that was something that Connie Van Rock. We love you, Connie. Connie Van Rock.
That's how we met.
But everybody was involved in it except for Ian and Christina and everything.
At that time, it was just me and JP,
And Ray.
Right.
Getting beat by Tom Earl, the CEO, getting beat by his cane. He was a slick guy. I love you, Tom.
Actually, Christina did come out and watch us. How you met her?
That's right. For the second one, but I didn't. Yeah. I wasn't a part of it. Right. Okay. Right. All right, but
did the one down on 15th Street underground.
Yeah.
Suburban Station.
Suburban Station.
Yeah. we're involved. We're involved. Lately because of scheduling and also technical difficulties that we had. We don't really get a chance to get out there in front much, with the Disability Pride crowd. But we do have our own thing, like I said, going on. But we are working on, different things right now. Hopefully that will be a pretty good fit. But we're not missing from Disability Pride. We're right there because all 4 of us table it at our own Disability Pride events or at other events that Disability Pride needs, such as we're right there with Philly Gay Pride. Yeah. All of us were right there. We're there with Juneteenth. Yeah. All of us were right there. Time. Yeah, Phill and I so many times have tabled events, when any of the higher office management people can't make it. And all we gotta do is just call Veronica or Ian and say, hey, we might need a little hand with this, and unless, Ian is stuck with his, crazy day job with the kiddies. Yes, he works at is it a Kung Fu daycare?
It's
he works at a Kung Fu daycare.
I didn't even finish. I work at a after school program at Motion Posture Studio out on 22nd and Walnut.
Translation: Kung Fu daycare.
Anyway,
and Veronica, like I said, she's been there from day one, for volunteer. So we're always right there. But it's so crazy, like people who are new to Disability Pride and came to Disability Pride afterwards are like so shocked, when they find out who and what we've done because they just met us as like the volunteer folks. Like I'm not gonna say, with somebody, in the upper office. Had no idea that I was this here, performing musician, and they just didn't know, and they're like, wait a minute, what else do I know, and that I was actually a famous photographer, had my 15, 20, 30 minutes of fame here and there, that I do actual art, key art photography.
And it's crazy because when I get to talking about the work I do, they be like, "Oh yeah, you're a that girl. I know you're."
Yeah, she is a Philly aesthetic all the way. Because there's always famous people in Philly who are known for just being somewhere. Like the guy who was always at Vet Stadium or whatever stadium it was for all the ball games. The guy Kenny who worked a cigar shop there at the corner of 15th and Walnut.
You met my boss Brian.
Yeah, and. Veronica is the PennDOT girl.
know her.
Yeah.
She's very.
You know, but yeah. So we're was there anything else that anybody wanted to bring up? Because we can start wrapping up.
I'm working on a new project, or this project that's coming. Hopefully soon I'll be out with it. Different projects I'm working on with art, varied art, different.
Basically, it's portraiture photography with some heavy AI and Photoshop influence, coming up with some crazy, beautiful, hot, dynamic images. Imagine if you were a makeup artist and you were doing makeup on somebody's face with industrial material. Okay, PC and digital, and I mean that literally, not, using PC and digital for to make it, but actually, having digital and all that other aesthetics.
Weird though, I don't like to get every bit of makeup on because it's right there for me to add.
Yeah, and Ian has led me into such a guilt trip where we seemed like we were stagnating. So one of the main things with he and I is releasing albums, which of course we will be assisted with, and hopefully making Phill do his own album also.
Yeah.
In a spoken word album that will definitely have danceable tracks on it. Me, just a Ray album, period. And damn, what would Phil's even be like?
That's a good question. I can't even tell you.
Because Phill and I do already have a release that we've done where we it's like lo-fi instrumentals, Grind by 9.
Yeah.
It's in all of the stores, digital stores. And so right now we've got these here 3 albums that we need to release. At the very least 3 singles to jump it off.
True.
But yeah, and having said that, introduced ourselves, I want you to know we are an open door. It's just that the 4 of us have been the most dedicated, and technically 5, because Christina, she comes when she's able to, and everything. But we are not a closed door. If you're someone who's a good fit, in other words, somebody that likes to work well with each other, with others, I mean to say. Because like I said, all 4 of us are different. All 5 of us are different. Different ages, different backgrounds, different disabilities and abilities, and we all come together. We love being with each other. We work well together. I call this group my family now, more so than my own family.
Yes.
And and I'm there for them. They're there for me. And a lot of times we're there for others. And just want to know, don't think that there's no room. There's always room for growth. And in this case, there's room for growth, with, what we learn, what we do, and also for our numbers. So this is Ray Deca.
This is Ian.
This is Veronica.
And I'm Phill.
And we bid ye a good adieu. What the hell is an adieu?
Yeah.
We bid ye adieu and a lovely good night, or morning, or whenever the hell it is that you're listening to this. We love you.
Thank you to House on Edge for sitting down and having that discussion for us. Again, I'd like to thank Highmark Hole Care for sponsoring our show. If you're around the Williamsport area, we hope to see you at the CIL'ebration on the 10th. Thanks for listening. Please visit our accessible website at www.disabilitypridepa.org. You can find us on social media at Disability Pride PA on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok.